Hello and welcome to the Bad Movie Reviews channel, hosted by myself, Ben, and we've got Daniel. Acronym for bad doesn't mean this film isn't bad, but we'll be covering this week the new Guy Ritchie film, Operation Fortune Rusa de Guerre. I don't know how to pronounce it. But,
that was a good crack.
Good crack. For anyone who doesn't know, Guy Ritchie, I guess I'm a fan of his movies, but he's been very diverse and not all have been great. Previously, he did Wrath of Man last year or 2 years ago, which wasn't the best, but The Gentleman recently I really enjoyed. He's also done Man from U.N.C.L.E., which is great, and the Sherlock Holmes films going back to, Rock and Roller and Snatch and those films back in the day, which he kind of originally got famous for. But his latest film stars one of his frequent collaborators, Jason Statham, and it's basically he plays a character named Orson Fortune, and they have a team of operatives basically trying to find out who's sold something and what it is and how much for. That's pretty standard, spy espionage kind of film. But what were your thoughts overall on the film? I know I have a few, but in terms of your overall thoughts, did you enjoy it?
I definitely enjoyed this film. For me, it was. Look, I don't want to put him into a category, but like Jason Statham plays kind of like the same characters in.
It's like The Rock, like you know what you're getting, like.
Yeah, I know I was going to get like some cool action, some great fight scenes. He was going to beat the crap out of everyone, and that's always fantastic. And for me, it was very much like he'd done this before, so there was nothing really I needed to point out in regards to anything exceptional or not exceptional. He just did his role, and he did his role well. I think it is a great kind of.
He did his job. It's like you showing up to your Monday to Friday, mate. You know what you're getting for. You know what you.
Excuse me.
Well, you know what you're getting. You know what I'm saying?
It was. Look, it was good. It wasn't a masterpiece in any case. Probably the second best movie I've seen this year, being the second movie I've seen this year. But yeah, look, it was really enjoyable. Some of the supporting cast were pretty good. The guy that Hugh Grant won in total was. I actually thought he was a standout. Thought his character was like pretty cool. It was a bit different. It was a bit awesome. It was a bit quirky altogether. And he's complimented the actor who played Danny or whatever it was.
Danny Francesco, Josh Hartnett. Yep.
Yeah, I thought they complemented each other pretty well to bring that kind of like typical humour side to like a lot of Jason Statham films. I feel like a lot of them also have that. If they're not full on action, they're normally action and humour. And I feel like, those two complemented each other really well. And I'm in love with the chick that played Sarah Fiddle, Aubrey Plaza. Fantastic. She was a star of the film. There wasn't really too many, but she was one of them. Look, I enjoyed her role in it. I thought her character was pretty likable, pretty lovable, but there was no real kind of overall standout performances for me in this film. It was just a good, enjoyable film. There was for me, but. As I said, I liked Hugh Grant. He was the only one that really stood up, and I liked Josh Hartnett. They were the only two for me. Everyone else, I felt like, didn't really do much. They weren't really there for me. I couldn't really like Jason. Good as always, but there was nothing exceptional there.
Yeah, he's okay.
Yeah, but what are your thoughts on the film?
I definitely enjoyed it. I don't think it's very similar vibes to The Gentleman. This film's kind of been in a little bit of a limbo as well. I remember it was supposed to come out like nearly a year ago today. Oh, okay. Like it's been completed for quite some time and it's just been pushed back and it was like had no release. It's a bit of a weird one, but I don't think it's as good as The Gentleman. But there's definitely enjoyable moments, and I don't think the action's really that great.
Nah, there wasn't excessive amounts of it either.
When there was, it was just like very average. Like it wasn't like high, edits where you can't see anything. You can still see it. It's just very average. Like it's not well choreographed. Yeah. It's not like it's exceptionally choreographed like a John Wick film or like a IP Man kind of thing. So, but the film definitely excels in its comedic moments. It is written quite well. But at the same time, that is really elevated by the performances. As you kind of stated, Jason Statham's playing the same old role, which he does well, so there's no knocks there.
Nothing there.
Aubrey Plaza was actually really good. I've seen her in things like Parks and Recs, but I know there's been a lot of like knocks on her where she like kind of just plays like a very one-dimensional character, which she kind of does here in a little sense, but she's got that comedic flavor there, and like, you know, they show a bit of sensual side as well. Like
Yeah, I
the
liked it, yeah.
flirtatious, you know, Bond girl kind of thing. But Hugh Grant does also play a very similar role to the gentleman.
Yes.
But he was fantastic and very funny. And I got to give props to Josh Hartnett, who played Danny Francesco.
Correct, yep.
Which is a bit of a weird role for anyone who doesn't know. If you've seen the trailers, he's essentially a Hollywood A-list actor, like a Hollywood star playing a Hollywood star. And there's layers to the performance. Like, it's really quite funny. You know, you have 1 second where he's anxious. He's like, well, you know, I'm not like this. And
Social
like, you got to play your, like, yeah. And he does that actually really well. And for anyone who doesn't know, he was massive back in the early 2000s when he was really, really young, and he took some time away from Hollywood because I think it got a bit too much. And he's recently made a comeback with a few TV shows like Penny Dreadful. And this is, I think, the first genuine, like, I wouldn't say blockbuster, but relatively big film that I've seen him in. And he was really good. He hasn't lost his...
I agree. Yep.
Hasn't lost his footing or anything like that. And him and Hugh Grant are definitely the star of the film. But I think it is just a funny, enjoyable film. I did think it overstayed its welcome a little bit. I think it clocked in at just a little bit under 2 hours, but the pacing at times is a little bit odd, especially towards the end. It didn't quite go Return of the King level where there's like 7 different endings where you could finish it. It just kind of like kept going and kept going.
Yep.
And I think that's also to play because it is very, like, the pacing wise, it is very rushed. Like, it's
definitely at times, without doubt.
It starts the film and it's just like bang.
Yeah.
Really, like the film just starts. There's no like major character development. And I think that's where the kind of film falls a little bit. Unlike The Gentleman, where you really kind of get to know the characters, like his previous film, it's just kind of, it is what it is. It's an action blockbuster comedy in a way. Not that it did a poor job at it. I think it's a perfectly enjoyable film and a film that will definitely make money amongst this January period if the, you know, everyone's already seen Avatar at this point. But no, I mean, I recommend going to see it. I had a laugh and I had a good time. I don't think it's anything special. I think it's a decent movie.
Yeah, pretty much overall. Touching on, I know how you said it definitely was rushed, and it was definitely rushed at a lot of times with a lot of things. And you're right, there was no introduction or backstory or anything. It's just like,
I just kind of hopped in and then it...
But I'll tell you what, one thing I thought about the whole time, and I completely forgot until you've just said it then, but the actual intro itself, despite it like being like, boom, here's the movie, I really liked its build-up. The sound of like the steps walking down the hole, it's creating like a clock ticking sound.
The way the movie was introduced was kind of cool.
The like action scenes that are going on like in correlation to that and that build up, I was like, oh, that's actually pretty dope. Like the audio side of that, not that I could really comment too much on the whole audio design of this film, but that specific 3-minute intro I actually thought was good. It was standout.
It was well done. Yeah, for sure. I think it just kind of like, it's not like disappointing. I just think Guy Ritchie, like, he's made some absolute, like, Lock, Stock and Two Smoking Barrels and Snatch and
Aladdin and
Rock and Roller. Like, they're such good, like, British films, and he's kind of obviously collaborated with Jason Statham a few times. He's still in some of those early films, but I wouldn't mind him, like, seeing him go back and doing one of those kind of films. And I felt like that he went that way with The Gentleman, and this similar, but I think there is room for improvement, and I think he could genuinely make a classic kind of action comedy because his comedy is definitely there. Like, it is a funny movie. Other than that, I don't really have any faults for it. It was it
wasn't really a step forward for him. It was just kind of a step to the side a little bit. It was a bit of like reusing some of that like skill and familiarity. Jesus words. That he'd kind of used in previous films instead of really trying.
I think that's also the bigger thing is with like The Gentleman, which came out, which like a lot of people really enjoyed. It was a similar film in the fact that it was comedic, but I think that really played into its great performances by like Henry Golding, Matthew McConaughey, and like Colin Farrell in that film.
Completely.
Whereas this film's really like you've got Hugh Grant in there, who was kind of like a funny side character in The Gentleman, whereas he's like relatively a main character, but he plays almost the exact same character. So,
without a doubt, yeah.
Definitely enjoyable time. I do recommend people to go watch this if they don't, rent it on video on demand or something like that. But it's a good time if you've got nothing to do. Go to your theatre on a Tuesday or it's Cheap Tuesdays and sit and enjoy. it's definitely got its laughs. Let's be real.
Without doubt.
Anyway, well, that is all we have for that review. You got anything else?
Nah,
you
nothing
say?
extra for me. Worth watch. Good film. Nothing phenomenal, but definitely worth some time.
Yeah, easy. Well, if you have seen it, if you have seen it, let us know what you think in the comments below. Subscribe, comment, anything like that. Feel free to watch we've just chuck up our like best 10 movies of 2022 and our most anticipated of 2023, which this film did not make, but for spoiler alert. But anyway, well, other than that, we'll catch you next time.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.